Hello and welcome to Fierce Fabulous Fridays from Girls Who Print. I am Deborah Korn, girl number one. Kelly Malazzi, girl number two, is manning the chat and the door. So be nice to your bouncer today. Really excited to welcome Dawn Nye, currently at Konica Minolta. And I say that because she's had a storied career. There's two of the myriad of reasons to love Dawn Nye. There are two that I especially like to hone in on. The first is that beyond many, in many ways, Dawn Nye was one of the biggest champions of the Project Peacock initiative out there in the industry. It's not always easy getting manufacturers to see certain value in education that might have a longer tail of some, let's say, a result that they can measure in some way. But part of the reason I love Dawn, for the second reason, ties into this, which is Dawn's focus of championing education in the printing industry. And although prior to Project Peacock, in many ways, it was focused on the graphic education programs and the students and the industry organizations, if there's something having to do with the students, something having to do with the education, Dawn Nye is probably circling around somewhere there. And she attached that focus to education to Project Peacock, and she was able to get Konica, along with Christine Yardley's help, by the way, who's also on this podcast, and MGI to support the initiative. And I know that you had fantastic results from it, as well as were able to meet with almost 1,000 buyers and decision makers from brands and advertising agencies and students as well, future leaders, to show them and teach them about the new opportunities that there are with print. And so when it came to, figuring out what is the passion, where do we find it now, now that we're in this crazy, situation where, passion might be going the wayside to survival mode, and when it comes to keeping it all together and keeping it moving, I couldn't think of a better person than Dawn Nye to come share some thoughts with us. So thank you so much for joining us, Dawn. I'm going to turn off my mic and my video, and I'm going to turn it over to you. At the end, we'll have an open conversation. So thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you, Deb. Well, as most people that know me, I am a good planner, but my mind kind of works like a pinball. I can talk about technology all day long, but I have difficulty when I talk about myself. I think a lot of people have a little trouble with that. So I actually want to start, where did I start? And it'll tie back in at the end. Believe it or not, and even though it's been in the news a lot these days, is I grew up in South Dakota, the place where you could probably hit a cow before you read into anybody else. I also grew up right next door to Augustana College at the university. So my childhood was trucking across campus, meeting a lot of the professors, and I wanted to be an artist at a very young age, and I used to hang out in the art department at Augie. I grew up from, my parents were not well-to-do. They both had just high school education, so being a baby boomer, I heard from the time I was little, you're going to college, you're going to college, you're going to college. So that got instilled from an early age. So I actually started out wanting to be an artist. So I got a Bachelor of Art from Augustana, could live at home. I was only 2 blocks away. You'll see a cute little picture in the corner. Boy, do have I aged, huh? And then I got a Bachelor of Fine Art from the University of South Dakota in printmaking, and then a master's degree from Goddard College as I pursued. I told many students, if you look back at some of those years, we didn't have good like we have now, some troubled financial time. So I tell people, when it's troubled financial time, go back to school, keep your skills up, and keep pushing forward. The best place to be when you can't find a job is in school. So my first job, I got lucky. Okay, I wanted to study fine art because I had good hand-eye dexterity, pretty good eye. I was good at pasting things up and painting and things, which is how we actually put the newspaper together back those days. I got hired in the second shift in production. And again, I had no formal training. I was trained on site, learned typesetting from a deaf man, camera separation with filters. Took us all day to do one color separation for the Sunday paper. I learned plate making. And then at the end, I was actually the advertising supervisor. This is where I got to tell the salespeople when their ads were late to put a 6-pack of beer on my desk, because I was going to have to tell production they were going to have to stay late tonight. My goal as a artist is a lot, and this is why I like talking to the students, is I wanted to control the viewer through their eyes. I didn't even want them to be aware the emotion I was trying to get out of them or react against through what the imagery was and what the color was. Took a lot of psychology classes. I really got kind of off on trying to think that that was a power that only art people could understand. And my second was to be a professional, traditional fine artist. And this is Nancy Losacker standing next to me. This is us doing a bronze casting. She was the only other female in the art department as a student, as a traditional sculptor. So early on, I got used to being the only girl in the room, or the only woman in the room. So that never bothered me. So a couple of my pieces in both printmaking and sculpture, I graduated, tried to knock on doors to try to get my art shown, didn't understand the business very well, kept getting rejections and so forth. So in my typical mode, I opened my own damn gallery and I called it DNA. I opened it up with another woman that was also a photographer, and her name was Anita. So we had two jokes. It was both our first letters plus the DNA molecule, female is better. So we tried that for a year. We actually sold some, had some openings. This is what I learned about publicity. And thank God I worked at the newspapers at night, because I got all of our openings covered by the local newspaper. So that was a pretty good start. Well, I went from there, as Deb said, I have kind of a speckled career. I have 38 plus years in the graphic communication business. What I learned is in school is that I was studying art, but I probably couldn't make a living at it. So I needed a skill. So the skills that put me through college parlayed. When I worked at the Argus Leader, we had CompuGraphic equipment. And they were a beta site. So we got to play with every brand new typesetting piece that came out. And that sparked me. I loved innovation. I loved being able to do it better, faster, and it just intrigued me. And shortly after graduating with my BFA, there was an ad in the paper and they were looking for a trainer. So my second job was to work for CompuGraphic, and I was a trainer for the edit writer. So I went through North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Nebraska, all these places you couldn't fly to back then. I had a big car and I drove everywhere. And this became like a cottage industry for women that were in small businesses with this machine. It was no longer hot metal, and we were starting to see much more flux of women in typesetting positions. I spent about 8 years at CompuGraphic in multiple different positions. And then I went on to Autographics, This was a company that sold slide imaging film, but also were developing a RIP that was going to be so fast, and a RIP everyone knows, to drive image setters, because we all waited for the data to get chewed up so it could actually spit out film. And this was a startup company, and this was the shortest job I've had in my career of 9 months before the venture capital pulled the funding on us. And then I ended up out on the West Coast. I have a rule, I haven't lived there yet. You'll notice that a lot of these jobs are around the country, which probably works well because I've always got my suitcase packed. So I ended up at Aldus, which was my first software company. If any of you ever met Paul Brainerd, which was the president, he came from Kodak in the newspaper business, so we had that in common. And we had convinced him to do pre-press software, trapping, imposition, file serving software. And so I came to the West Coast to actually manage and do the marketing for that. I did such a great job, and we did quite a bit of shaking up the industry because we were the new kids on the block, that Xerox courted me and convinced me to move to Rochester, New York. I spent 8 years as a product manager there, starting out their color division, which was actually the DocuColor 40, was the first launch. I also helped put together the first Xerox Drupa, because I had done Drupa many years before, put together the Adobe Aldus booth, put together a CompuGraphics booth. So I understood how Drupa worked. So that was actually my first project there. After 2002, when we had somewhat other recession, I got laid off, and part of my responsibilities at Xerox was to actually work with the schools, where I got in touch and kind of fell in love with working with students and colleges. So when I called them up and said, by the way, here's your new contact, I've been let go, they said, great, can you come down and teach? Well, I was in Webster, New York, so it was a short drive down to New York City. And I said, okay, I'll try it. So I did an adjunct semester, and then they hired me as a teacher. And I spent 4 years there teaching in the City University of New York. Very interesting. I taught design and I taught pre-press. And I taught design for students in their first semester, and I taught seniors in their pre-press year. And it was very interesting to see how many students made it through all 4 years. There's only one problem with teachers, and I love teachers and I try to support them a lot because they don't pay teachers a lot. And living in New York City was kind of expensive. So I started looking back in the industry, and OSE in Florida offered me a job with their high-end big production gear. So I moved to Florida and was the product manager for the Variaprint, and spent 2 years there. And then I went to work for the job that I have now at Konica Minolta 8 years ago. And so that kind of rounds out. I've been, I think, lived in about 8 states. In 2000, actually, I won the Gold Key Award, and everyone to be passionate in this industry needs a mentor. And this woman standing next to me, I don't know if any of you know her. Her name is Jean Burgess. When I first met her, it was interesting because when I was way back in Paste Up, we used to use Burgess sheets when we indicated the color that we wanted to print and where it was supposed to be laid down, that we handed off to the plate making and press crew. And it was her father that invented them. She lived in New York City and was very involved with the school, New York City School, and she wrote this book. And so I had written a curriculum around this book to help teach designers to be able to spec color and get the color they wanted. So not just painting, and this is before we had a lot of color management in screens and so forth. So it was very hard. So it was easier to teach somebody, if you want that kind of blue, to be able to put it into a CMYK value versus an RGB value, because it translated into probably not the color blue you thought it was. So I got into, so Gina and I work very close together. What a marvelous person. Unfortunately, she has passed, about 5 years ago, but it was a marvelous relationship. You'll notice a few people here. As Deb said, I like to be connected to the print community. And that is something unique to our industry, even though people are competitors, both on the printing side, the vendor side. We all have a feeling about print. There's a love of touch and paper that I think no one else can understand. So here's a few of the ones that I belong to, and a few of the people that I have met along the way. And you'll see Christine and Deb from AGFA down on the bottom, Deb Hutchinson. And this was actually in this was Toronto Peacock pictures. So we had a great time. What a great event. I hope we get to do it again. Which brings me up to my school programs. Well, when I joined KM, one of the deals is that I got to adopt a school a year and help put a press in there and work with the faculty, because one of the things that we're having trouble with is attracting young people that want to come into the print world. Almost every printer I talked to said, I'm having a hard time finding people that are interested. So I decided that I would start putting presses and going around and working and talking at the colleges and with the students. Now it's very interesting. There's still about 70% female that are in these programs, but most want to be designers. So I spent my first year going around explaining to them I was a designer and an artist, and that the nice thing about having a real electronic tactical printing skill was I never had to worry about a paycheck. And that you could still be a designer and an artist, but also know and have a really good sellable skill. So I've been out to Cal Poly. They have an MGI that I've placed there, as well as a toner press and a wide format press. Central Connecticut State, which I run both a internship program with, RIT, Ball State, Stout, the one that's just getting up and running, which I got to visit before COVID, which is the Scottsdale Community College. I'm now looking at the community colleges, because so many people that want to be operators or get a start in the industry start at the community college level. I put a press in Clemson. Christine works with Ryerson and our Canadian partner up in Canada. And the little piece that you see there, this is a story I have to tell you. We did the Graphic Communication Education Conference in 2017 in Toronto, and the theme was women in print. And this came, I was sitting at the color conference next to Abe, which is one of the faculty at Ryerson. And they had an expert panel, and I'm sitting next to Abe, and there's nothing but men on the stage. And I turned around at him and said, what the hell? Where are the women? And from that, he went home and wrote me an email and said, okay, we're gonna do women in print at this conference. So with that, the little nice, beautiful piece that was done on the bottom, Print Panther did for me for this conference. And just another crazy step, I made the association, teachers don't have a lot of money. So every time they have to get an association membership, they have to pay out of their pocket. A lot of the schools don't support them. So membership had dropped. So I had a great idea of using a brand new software that we had gotten to help create a real live project for students. This was a teaching organization. They would understand students are learning. So I got a team at Cal Poly, a team at RIT, and we had a competition with them to be able to create print materials, keep track of the analytics, just like a real life job. And the goal is if they could increase how many people went to this conference by 10%, I would take them all to Toronto. And they accomplished that. I was going to take the winning team, but I decided I took them both. And at some later date, I should post the video. We did a video. I did the introduction, but I made the students talk about their passion and their excitement about doing a real life project for the industry. My second love, which of course is the Technical Graphic Arts Association, which I hold the title of marketing manager for. This is some of the students from the conference. There are probably 15 chapters worldwide now. Students actually compete. They bring their journals. They talk about the process. They show off their skills. And let me tell you, if you are ever looking for the best help you can ever get, go to one of these conferences and interview the students. They set up tables. They're there to talk to you. It's just a wonderful, wonderful event. All right, so what have I been up to besides that? Well, 2 years ago, I was put on a project for Konica Minolta to build a showcase demo room. We completed it just as we went into lockdown for COVID. So now we're doing all of our demos virtually, just like if you were standing there. So this is a shot of the 17,000 square foot print shop with all the latest toys and tools that I can play with. And these are my 3 staff, all from the Connecticut University. In their graphic arts program. They all graduated and lived through and still wanted to work for me from their college days. They came and interned for me for the summer. So I have Wilson on the left, Kwam in the middle, and Corey on the right. There are 3 different graduating years. I also have hired 2 women, but they are in different departments. So I'm a conduit in a belief that we have to bring young people in to stay vibrant in our industry. And the energy from them just keeps me going. This happens to be Printing United on the floor. By the way, these guys just graduated from college, and this is the first time they got to do a road trip. And when I'm not working, I'm usually out on Long Island Sound boating. So you can take a look with New York City behind me and the sunset. So when I check out completely, but you'll still notice who's driving the boat. So with my last words, I would like to say this. Don't ever forget your practical skills. Never stop learning. I used to tell my students, if you only wanted to learn one thing in college and that was it, you picked the wrong industry. We change technology every 18 months, so it's always a learning curve. Never take no for an answer, and look at everything you do in your life as a learning event, including failing. I used to tell my students all the time, failure is not failure, it's a learning curve. And as you can tell here, these are some of my friends at the Women's March, and we had the best signs ever. That's the good news about having great printing equipment at your fingertips. And with that, I will say thank you. And I probably talked way too fast. Deb?
No, I mean, it was absolutely riveting. Let's just keep that slide up for a second so people can get in touch with you and also maybe connect with you on LinkedIn. But I really appreciate that you skipped over Konica Minolta. But if you don't mind, just let everybody know some of the cool stuff that you have going on there, and how you can really help people come out of this pandemic in a profitable manner.
Well, as I said before, we're doing a lot of things virtually. We really pivoted, and this is what really helped. The 3 young guys that picture showed, they had some great ideas. Literally, we said, okay, we have to go virtual. How do we do this? What should our sales be? How do we do this? And really, printers are looking for the printed piece. So if we can send it to them, they're looking at their work printed on our device, and then in the screen, kind of like a Star Trek thing, beam me there. And I can show you exactly how that was done and how to make money at that. Okay. People are saying, okay, I don't have to stand next to this piece of iron. Printer is a printer in my book. We sell the output, we sell the capabilities. We also have been teaching online a lot. We've done seminars with printers to be able to help streamline them, work with them on how to safe distance, how to actually put, some of those automational tools that are available on these presses that you didn't look like before. You can't have a lot of people moving in and out because you need to stay spatially distanced in a print shop. So how do I do that? So we've been doing seminars on how to do automation. So we've been trying to really connect and add that value while everybody's been kind of panicked. Now that everybody's kind of going, this is kind of the new reality and will be for a while. I need to look at actually my business, look at my customers and what do they need and how am I going to do it. So I've talked to a few customers that are doing the same thing we're doing. They're doing live presentations with their customers, touch and base, actually talking on Zoom, doing meetings, sending samples and getting business. And business is slowly picking up from the customers I've been talking to, Deb. So that is what we've turned the Centr in, is it's a resource. It's a resource for our customers. It's a resource for our salespeople. And we're there every day. They will also call me, I'm the kind of the room monitor. My salespeople, the doors are locked. No one gets in there. We are going to start to do a few face-to-face demos with some real safety protocols in place. But the interesting thing is, I still have more bookings for virtual now.
Right.
The salespeople are having so much success at not having to get on a plane, take a full day to get there, a full day to get back. Literally, we can show you in an hour, 2 hours. That's about how long it takes to show it how it works. We log into all of the rips, so you're just like you're standing there. In fact, you get a better view because it's right there in front of you. You don't have to be standing back behind someone that's demoing. You've got it's a quiet place. You get to ask all the questions you want.
Yeah.
And we have a panel of experts that go on each one of these that are in the background. So we try to not have we try to answer all questions. Okay. So when you leave, you should have all the information that you need to make the right decision.
Thank you so much, Dawn. If you don't mind, if you could stop sharing your screen and everyone can come on video and audio. And while you're doing that, I actually do have two questions. I'll kick it off as everybody starts rolling in and gathers their thoughts. But the first one is regarding something you kind of skipped over a little in the beginning of the presentation about how you took psychology classes. I want to understand how everybody here can get a little insight from that as far as it goes to, let's say, motivating someone to a decision that is the one that you want them to make.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, you're the one who did the presentation.
Well, I thought, again, we're curious beings and trying to understand the mind, which is just, this thing that thinks that can't be confined. But there are both, what I learned in psychology is there are cultural things that we react to that we don't even think about. Okay. Certain colors we react to, red, okay, hot. I mean, nobody taught us that. I mean, after a while, it's like ingrained in our culture.
Well,
so how
I just have to say, they did teach us that because on the faucet it says red for hot and blue. I'm just saying, so you do know red is hot. Just
yeah. But if it's in a a advertisement or if it's in a print piece, you
Correct.
don't,
Different.
you're
Yes.
trying to react an emotion from somebody, okay, on a subliminal level. I mean, that's what advertising always has been. It's
Mm-hmm.
a communication without words. You're looking at a picture. It may have words on there, but really you're looking at the picture. That's what we're drawn to. I mean, today I'm the world's worst proofreader because I don't read the copy.
Look,
I look at
Sherry's
the
masking.
picture.
Sherry shares is masking, everybody. No, you're absolutely right, and I agree with the subtext more than anything else. It's not the words; it's how you feel about them, or how you feel about everything. And you mentioned that about that your samples, and that's actually great advice for developing print samples. Like, you know, someone's going to gravitate or have an emotional thing to a picture of a puppy versus a picture of a piece of furniture. It's just a human nature, you know. I mean, then the thing is to find out on their Facebook if they're a dog person or a cat person, and then either show them a puppy or a kitten.
Like,
You know, that's where the strategy comes in. But either way, a baby animal is going to invoke more of a connection with a human than an inanimate object when it comes to certain things. A chameleon even is a or peacocks. I mean, there are a lot of press manufacturers that use peacocks and birds and things of that nature for proofing for showing the capabilities of the press, because it is an animal and it is a colorful animal, so it kills two birds with one stone. Comments, questions? Oh, I shouldn't say to kill. Kelly's like, don't say kill birds. No, no birds were harmed in the recording of this webinar. Okay, sales in Corona, new business generation. You're talking to printers. I mean, obviously upstream from that, because you're talking to them about adding opportunities to their arsenal through your equipment, which is a great politically correct way of saying done is selling equipment. But with that, you're going to have to make some sort of value proposition as far as why it would be something that would be relevant to the end users. So in your opinion, in general, not related to necessarily your equipment, what in God's name are the end users looking for now? What will they be looking for? What is the end game that you're trying to have the printers focus on through digital printing and specialty effects? With by the way, we didn't even mention that MGI is part of Konica Minolta too. So there's a whole specialty finishing array that is available with these presses, which why they were so popular. Project Peacock. Sorry, Dawn, go ahead.
no, you're right. When I get a request from a customer, they send their
Yes, John.
files in, and we put in, we print them, and then we embellish them, just because they hadn't thought about it. And then I ask them to take that and show that to their customer, okay, and say, you know, today when we're all at home, I hear the mailman come, I run because somebody's communicating with me in a print, because that's my preferred way, okay? And I actually think the new generation is actually even leaning that way also. But I think today, okay, print is probably more valuable than anything. I mean, the kids and students, they're fatigued from screen. They're not fatigued from reading a book. So I think, you know, if we get our act together as printers and start communicating with our customers, going, how can we add value? How can we help you and your customers get through the bottleneck that they're trying to get through? I have in the last week heard from a lot of implants, because all of a sudden they went from completely being shut off and dark to they're overrun with work, which is really good to hear.
From internal, because like schools are opening up
Yeah,
and things of that nature. So is
yep.
it mostly the schools that are having this? The
Um,
implants from schools, universities and stuff?
Universities, government, that weren't printing before. I've talked to 3 government states this week alone. That, you know, usually again it's a percolating effect. By the time the work is coming, so they can't accommodate for it. So they're now looking for the next solution. So I have to feel that the industry is starting to, pick up. I've noticed that I'm now starting to get more catalogs in my mail. Thank goodness. That's the only way I order. I may order it online, but I look at the catalog picture.
I'm sorry,
Um,
I'm data mining you at the moment.
okay.
The catalogs that you're getting, are they from things you've previously bought from, or are they new? Are they fishing for a new customer with you?
Both.
Really? You're getting acquisition. Okay.
Yes.
From whom?
Well, somebody's data mining to me to know that I like certain things, or I have a purchasing profile out there
Okay.
somewhere.
So there's some
Um,
intelligence behind the
right,
random catalogs that you're getting.
right.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry,
bought.
was just
Yep.
curious.
No, because I think the same way you do. Okay, how did they get my list? What did they know about me before that? I mean, we all do that, because I have gotten some new ones. Some of them that I have gotten that I've always gotten, but
Right.
for months I didn't. It's like they stopped printing.
But I think that that's really interesting, and that opens up a new pattern now for sales. So it's like, if you like shoes from this particular store, maybe I could find that out and try to get you to get shoes from another store, which means that, let's just say, the battle over customer acquisition is starting again in certain segments. I'm sorry, I'm data mining you again. Can you give us a broad scope of the catalogs? Are they home improvement? Are they cooking? Like, can you categorize what they might be in?
Well,
Automotive sales? Is it S&M gears? This is what it is, and you just don't want to. Sure. Okay. Well, if it's not that, then maybe you want
I
to.
can tell you, I think one of them is high-end apparel.
yeah.
Um, so I'm a avid Athleta shopper. I'm getting a ton of stuff from Title IX, Lululemon, definitely with shoes, On are very expensive running shoes. I'm getting stuff from Birkenstock. I'm getting hiking shoes, because I'm on my
Interesting.
computer looking for hiking stuff all the time now, and I'm being bombarded both digitally and in print. So yes, I mean, I think we're definitely seeing a major preponderance of outdoor home improvement for sure. And again,
Right.
like comfort, and I think high-end apparel, because unfortunately, without getting political, like rich people didn't lose anything in the pandemic, so they're still buying expensive
Right.
clothes,
No,
right?
but it's really good, because this means we've moved a box in my own consumer research that I've been doing. It has been in customer retention and customer loyalty. It has not been in new customer acquisition. And it's still not spray and pray. I'm not getting in my mailbox, no one's trying to sell me Jeeps and Hyundais, and they're not doing that yet. But if I'm in a certain segment already, it seems now that the door is open to saying, okay, low hanging fruit. If we know these people do this, this is something. We're not talking to them about vacations. We're not. That's still not appropriate, But we can talk to them about things they need for their house, for their personal self. Those are still in the wheelhouses of appropriate communication. But what's interesting now is that they're branching out to customer acquisition, which is good news for all of us, because that means the brands are back in these conversations.
You know who
They
else
woke up.
is? You know who else is? The nonprofits. So I
They've
became
been,
a member.
yeah. Go ahead,
I've been a
sorry.
member of the Nature Conservancy. I'm getting World Wildlife Federation. I'm getting a bunch of different ones. So they're clearly starting to mine those,
Right.
and some beautiful, beautiful stuff coming in the mail. So like you, Dawn, I run. What came today? What came today? I get so excited.
I would encourage everybody to go back. Erica Switzer gave a presentation last week about retargeting
Awesome.
anonymous visitors to your website. And this, by the way, is how a lot of these people are doing this type of stuff. Kelly's searching for things. She's hitting some website. It's going into somewhere that they can create a list, and apparently they're selling it. Questions, comments? Emily, you had a comment. Emily Simon, you want to unmute yourself and join us?
Yeah, I just was echoing what Kelly has said. I've gotten some high-end lifestyle brand advertising recently that is out of the norm, but good to see.
Yeah. What else is in your mailbox lately? Anything good?
Uh, that's the only thing of note. I have gotten a lot of election stuff, but we've all gotten that. So,
Actually, I'm in Florida. I have gotten nothing, just so everybody knows.
really? Okay.
Welcome
Wow.
to my hell for the next 3 months of everybody looking at Florida like this. And I'm like, it's not me. I know.
Oh my gosh, Deb,
Not me.
I've gotten 3 pieces of election mail each day for the past week.
Really? Oh, you know what? I haven't checked my mailbox since a couple of days. I'll go check. Erica, this is interesting news. What are you, as long as you're here, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't mean to data mine you too, but what this list repurchasing, it seems like it's a good opportunity. Yeah. What is your advice there, since you're a resident direct mail specialist?
So businesses are starting to pivot, or at least we're seeing starting to pivot and opening up the marketing strategy for prospecting again, right? It's been so customer centric for several months, honestly, for most of the year, but now people are looking towards fourth quarter, like how can we prospect for new business? And it is a delicate situation because you don't know who has been financially affected by COVID and who hasn't, right? So what parameters used to work don't necessarily work right now, right? So everybody's pretty leery on who to target. And that's why doing that hyper-personalized targeting based on people who came to your website or your clients' websites is so essential, because you know these people are interested, they're looking right now, and you're not targeting, the incorrect niche market for right now and the times. And that's what makes this more valuable. But it's not, mail 50,000, mail 100,000, mail 300,000. They're micro campaigns. They're hyper focused and hyper personalized, and that's how you're going to get a higher conversion on that.
Yeah.
Right? Conversions are 9 to 18%, which is absolutely incredible for direct mail. It's a way to get in front of people who are interested right now, as opposed to just trying to data mine a list and build it based on prospects. Also, to go with, and I chatted it into you guys too, and this has been for years, you can get mailing lists of people based on purchasing habits, and that's how the catalogs normally do it. And how they're getting this information is based off of the SKUs of items that you're buying that are tied to your credit card. So they're not releasing, obviously, your credit card information. They're not releasing, all of your personalized data. That's a violation of the PPIA. But what they are able to do is say, Kelly has purchased, running shoes in the past month, so you should send her a catalog. So, and when you're prospecting and doing these lists are extremely expensive. They're not cheap, but you can get people's purchasing habits. And that's another thing that you can do. If you pull a mailing list or a list in general, if you want to do, outbound calls or emails or whatever, you can pull lists based on people who have purchased specific items in the past month or 2 months or 3 months to go after the right people as well.
That's awesome. John, did you want to join the conversation? You can unmute yourself and ask your question or make your comment. Hey, John.
Hey, Debs, nice to see you.
You
Dawn,
too,
a
sir.
great presentation. I really don't have a whole lot to add. We are definitely feeling pickup here at Hop Industries. Obviously, we're involved in very specialized films, but we are seeing some little bit of pickup for retail signage and the flexographic industry, believe it or not. I mean, we supply a lot of materials for luggage tags and placards, things like that. Definitely starting to bounce back on that front.
Are you guys, I'm sorry, Kelly, I just want to ask him one question and I'll stop. Are you guys dipping your toe in the antimicrobial lane?
Unfortunately, we're bringing in products and reselling them into the market as raw materials as they come out of our plant. And most, I have been in touch with John Beadle at APPI, but that's a secondary coating. So that's post-press treatment.
Right.
I
Okay.
I truly think our materials would be very compatible with that, especially that our products, anything UV cure, is just bonded to our product.
Right.
So I think that that has a lot of product, but unfortunately, I haven't had anybody say, hey, I need to make antimicrobial menus at this point. I've been, in touch with the printers that I'm working with, and a lot of guys with the RMGT UV LED presses. It's got some menu samples today from one of my customers. This was ran about a week ago. They have not expressed interest in testing that product. I'd like to be a conduit for that.
Yeah. Okay, Kelly.
No, I'm sorry. I was actually gesturing to somebody in the house.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. But no, it was your turn anyhow. Kelly's
Yeah,
like,
well, I just want to
"Hey!"
kind of tie this up in a bow and bring it back to Dawn for a second, because I feel like the theme of the presentation was about passion, and there were a couple moments where I was like almost getting choked up with like the depth and the breadth of where, how you got started and where you've been, and basically essentially devoting your entire your entire adulthood to this industry. And I think that while we have some spectacularly young, fantastic people on this call, there's also a lot of us who've spent decades, in this industry, and it's accessing the passion and the love, I think, that is going to help us reach out to the younger generations to pull them in. So I always go with this balance of like, oh, I'm so sick of talking to all these old white guys. But like when we can go back to that, we're here from choice, like we choose to be here and we choose to be in this industry and we choose to be evangelically in love with it. This is how we're going to bring people in, is with the energy and with the love. So I just, again, I don't want to get all like emotional, but I
Kumbaya.
loved everything you said about everywhere you've been, and you've been so devoted, and every time I see you, I learn something, and I can't wait for Project Peacock to come back up so I can see you again. But I am going to get in the car one day and just drive to New Jersey, because
Okay.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you brought it back around, because you're right. We were talking about finding your passion in print. We do have a few more minutes. My passion comes from helping people discover that they can make their visions come to reality, and it was always the thing that I loved about being a producer in the advertising agencies, that I would help the creatives bring their ideas to life. Wasn't always how they wanted it to be, but it got done the way it needed to get done to live and breathe out of somebody's head. Christine Yardley, you are one of the most passionate people out there, and you actually did a Girls Who Print presentation as well that everybody should go back and listen to. But maybe you can add some words about keeping your passion now during these times, these troubling times.
Troubling times. Okay, am I off mute now?
Yes, you've
Yes.
figured it all out.
Well, Dawn, that was fantastic. And yes, every moment I get to spend with Dawn, I learn something new. And I have to say, like, I'm 4 decades. That sounds so terrible, 4 decades. But anyway, I think one of the things I tried to get across when I did my presentation was just, keeping the creativity in what we do and keeping the passion alive. And, I always say it's an exciting time for print. And, we've had a bit of a blip here, but it's still an exciting time. So we've just got to keep pushing forward. I was supposed to be in New Jersey March 4th, seeing
Right.
the demo center. And now I'm not allowed to cross the border, but as soon as they let me in, I'm coming.
And by the way, Chris helped me with RIT. So besides my passion, I've infected her to help work with the students, and they won an award. Was it last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. So the students won a FSCA award on the project that they did together with Chris.
Oh, how cool is that? I didn't realize it was FSCA award. Yes, Kelly Malazzi.
Well, you know, I was going to say too, John, when you were asking him, Deb, about the antimicrobials, and I don't know how much you guys have been out in public or like, I just was at a restaurant last night and I swear to God, it looked like a Friday night in normal times where I am. We had a lovely dinner. It was amazing, but there were a lot of people out. Don't freak out. We were masked and all that until we sat at our table. But the whole point of it did not faze anybody that we all just pulled out our phones and scanned the QR code to get access to the menu. And I'm thinking like, so on the one hand you go, oh, that sounds like a loss for print. But actually, if there was a way to help the restaurants design a prettier presentation for the QR code,
Okay.
I'm just saying like,
Okay,
because
but
it's just about acceptance and adaptation,
Yes.
right? We have to
Okay.
accept that they're using the QR codes and then.
Yes, but that's not what it is, because you're absolutely right. But it's not about building a better mousetrap. It's about keeping people in your ecosystem. So what if I scanned a QR code and before I scan it, and the first thing it says is join our mailing list for exclusive offers. Click. I put in my address or whatever it might be. Now the restaurant can follow up with print. Now they could communicate with me with print.
That's
So
even better.
that is that is where a printer needs to have the conversation. Beyond just, I can make this look nicer for you. I can make this look nicer for you and turn it into a future business result. Data for decisions. I'm going to keep everybody focused on that for as long as I can, because gone are the days of imagine what it would look like. No, if I'm writing a check, I need to understand what I'm getting for that. Now, what I'm getting for it might be a nice, relaxing thing to look at when I'm stressed out. That there's data for my decision, but just getting the poster, the QR code, the whatever it is not a marketing plan. It's not a business, a converse. You know what I'm saying? It's not a strategic business decision, but incorporating those two things is, and even going even further. What's the beer that's in the restaurant? What's the, do they, sometimes restaurants use, you'll see recipes and they'll say, special Guinness fish and chips. Well, why can't my QR code be sponsored by Guinness then? Like, so then there's other opportunities to use these spaces to make money, which I'm still focusing everybody on. What if every space could be a canvas? What if every canvas could be revenue? So that's why we have these things, because we can build upon all the ideas and input that people have. Going in and saying, these look bad, I can help you, is a great conversation to start off with, to Kelly's point, because it's right in front of them and it's something that they can see. And if it can be improved, the improvement movement, then it's something that they're willing to listen to. Then you can add upon that, and I can help you generate future business. So it becomes a 1-2 punch conversation. So any other questions or comments? Related to print, passion, sales, how you feeling today? Yes, Edith?
So great presentation, Dawn. I am envious of your trajectory and everything. I was that production person who was working late into the night, waiting to paste up that the display ad and the classified. So thanks for sticking out for me. But I read a great commentary yesterday on LinkedIn. I forget who the author was, I apologize, but it was really shifting the mindset of printers from no longer solutions-based, but more outcome-based. So Deborah, that totally plays into what you're thinking. It's like printers can now come in and say, how can I, what's the outcome that you're looking for, instead of the solution being, I can make this look prettier or whatever. It's really about how to help their ROI. So yeah, it's
I would take credit for that, because I've been saying it since April. I've been pounding it home for.
It's a mindset shift. So, but really great. If I can find that article, the author of that article on LinkedIn, I'll
Please
send
do.
it to them. Okay,
Cool.
Thanks again, Dawn.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? Jan, anything from implants? No? You good?
Implants, as Dawn says, it's kind of two ways. They're either doing great and needed a lot of work, or they're destaffing, you know, it's a mixed bag. I'd love to hear, you know, a little more about what you did for those implants, you know.
Dawn, do you know
And just-
Jan?
Yeah,
What? Yeah,
Okay, sorry. I think I just want to Jen, tell everybody what you do at the IPMA. Tell everybody who you are.
well, I'm the marketing and social media manager for the Implant Printing and Mailing Association. So I do marketing, anything and everything. I wish we could do more direct mail, but right now we can't at this point. But I'm always looking for people who can tell our members things they can do, inventive things. Deborah wrote a wonderful blog for us, Kelly too. Dawn, I would love you to be able to tell our members what you've done specifically for implants. Because I can, as you know, we're a smaller segment than commercial.
Yep.
But
Maybe there's a little presentation love can go on here from Conica for the implants. Just saying.
yeah,
I love
Yeah.
a webinar collab.
that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all about sharing ideas, and you know, and I'm learning from talking to our customers. I mean, so far today, I've had 3 virtual demos, so I've talked to 3 customers, and it's, you know, I'm always writing down notes and asking. I'm a little like Deb. I'm pulling information out of them. How are you doing that? How's the flow coming? Okay, what did you do to get that to happen? What are your customers saying? Because we see the printer, okay, but they're just the means for the person that needs the print. So how is their life changed? What is their plans? Sometimes they can help with that marketing and that deliverable. Some, you know, if they know about it. And part of it is, I think some of the implants have finally said, you know, we've never knocked on doors before. They never have. You know, they had a tried and true that came through the door. They were part of it. And so what they've had to do is to, one, with COVID, they have to figure out a staffing that is safe. Okay, which is why the automation, okay, and the touchless printing were inline and cutting and folding and all of that right out. So you click the button and you don't even have to be there. I can send the file over line and the machine automatically, and all I need is one person to pick it up, put it in the box, slap the shipping label on it, okay, and now I can start to think about how I'm going to deliver my level of print, maybe on 2 shifts, like what we have done, so we have better social distancing. But I can run a lot of it lights out. So I need a pre-press manager, and they don't even need to be there, you know. So those are some of the things I've learned, but I'd be more than happy to like come up with some ideas. I mean, I don't have the perfect answer. I ask everyone I talk to, because this has been my whole life. I love print, I love paper, and I want it to be around for the next generation.
That's a perfect place to leave this. So Jan and Dawn, I will make sure I get you Jan's information in case you don't have it.
No,
And you have it? Of course.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, everybody. I just want to remind you that all of the replays live at girlswhoprint.net. And, you know, you can go back and watch any Christine's episode and Erica's episode, and Kelly's had an episode, and now I've had an episode or 2 maybe. And our upcoming programming is there as well. I was actually thinking about stopping these, but again, the pressure from the community, you know, is making it a little more difficult. So as long as people are willing to present, I'm willing to, okay, see, look, Jan. As long as people are willing to present, I am willing to, you know, do this as well. It would be great if, you know, everybody every week could invite their friends so we could, you know, make the attendees, the presenters feel a little more loved, but, you know, watching and sharing the replays works too. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Print long and prosper, everybody.